Good evening and welcome. My name is Dr. Larry Force, and I am a professor of psychology at Mount St. Mary College and director of the Center on Aging and Disability Policy, along with my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Jeffrey Kahana. We're back. We thought we were only going to be here a year and a half ago, from like April to the beginning of April to the end. And then we stayed to June. And then we were back again, and we're back again. And I think that there's a real value and real need for what we have to offer everyone. I'm joined tonight by Elaine Sproat, who is the project director for the Proactive Caring Program. And how we're here is through the Proactive Caring Program. This was a 3-year grant provided to us from New York State DDPC, Developmental Council, to work with individuals with special and to be able to train mindfulness-based stress reduction. And they've been tremendous, and they value what I've been able to do so much. We end getting a year extension with the focus on transition. Joining me also, Zano, Peggy, psychologist, and she and Lisa Nathan will be joining us in a few minutes, who is a parent advocate and also a meditator. Have done a tremendous job in providing voice to the issue of proactive care. We never thought we would be here, and because of COVID. The first year, Elaine's guide, we ended up doing small focus groups of families. Second year, we were running through the state doing train the trainer, and then COVID came in. And I talked with Lisa and Peggy. I said, look, we have all this content information. What about doing a Zoom platform and then sending it out through our mailing list? When we started our program, it was just shy of 400. Now we know that through the connections we've made, both statewide, locally, statewide, and nationally, that our mailing list is just on the plus side of 4,000. Stacy Orzel is joining us as well tonight, and Lisa Carrara. Stacy and Lisa have been tremendous ambassadors of the Proactive Caring Program from the very beginning. And what started off as a professional connection has developed into a friendship. So we're glad that both of you are here. Yes, the heart, the heart. We're so glad that both of you are here. Tonight's program is titled A Return to School and Learning in a Stress-Free Way. And then we all say, how do you do that? Well, I think that, we come to the table, with a lot of skills, a lot of resources, and what we've been able to develop is a presence even beyond the videotapes and the video cast. And we have a Proactive Caring Digital Resource Center, and it's proactivecaring.org. And there's tremendous amount of resources on there. And we're very, very proud. We have a wonderful partnership with Parent Network of Western New York, with Dr. Mindy Scary and Teresa Drum, and they have been tremendous partners and have helped and taken the lead on some of the material that we have up there that is free downloadable material. We've had guests on, Dr. Patricia Zyganovich, Dr. Mike Hibbert, who have been able to put together work that has real value based upon blending together the mindfulness approach with the problem-solving approach. Things don't happen by accident. And yesterday, I'm watching the morning news, CBS Morning News, which I like. And the next thing I know, here comes this little video. And I'd like to share this video with you. It runs about maybe 4 to 5 minutes, but I think there's a real value add in being able to do that. So I want to share my screen. And then what I want to be able to do is find the video. There it is. Hold on a second. All right. And here we go.
I can tell you. And this morning in our series, School Matters, we are looking at how our friends at Sesame Street are helping kids handle the stress of going back to school. Sesame Workshop teamed up with the meditation app Headspace to create a series of monster meditation videos and books, also a new podcast called Good Night World. They teach meditation and mindfulness tricks to help little ones relax and fall asleep. And we can all root for that. In this monster meditation clip, Grover struggles to do many things at once, too many things, you might say. And so Andy from Headspace teaches Grover to slow down, find a special rhythm, and focus on one task at a time.
When you have so much to do, breathe in, breathe out. Count 1, 2, then do. Now I shall have breakfast.
Nice job, Grover. You're really moving through all the things you wanted to do.
I am.
And I'm pleased to say that Grover joins us now. Grover, good morning. We also have Rosemarie Trulio. She's the Senior Vice President of Curriculum and Content at Sesame Workshop. Good morning to both of you. Grover, when I heard a furry celebrity was going to be here this morning, I was very excited, and I'm even more excited to see that it's you.
Oh, yes, it is me, live and in the fur. Hey, can we watch some more cartoons?
Well, that cartoon was a good one because it was teaching kids how to relax, and you learned one of the first big lessons in that monster meditation. How's it been going?
Well, I love to meditate. Yeah. Mindfulness exercises, they help me to slow down and feel calmer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What are some of the things you get nervous about, Grover?
Me? Get nervous? You mean like being in front of millions of people on live television and stuff like that?
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I get really nervous. Oh my goodness, I get nervous. But it is okay. It is okay. Yeah, because there are all sorts of things you can do. Like you can take deep belly breaths, right?
How does that work?
How does that work, Grover?
Well, you breathe in through your nose and go, and then you let it all out. Oh.
And how does that make you feel better? I agree with you. How does it make you feel better?
Well, yeah. Well, it calms me down.
Mm-hmm.
It does not make all those millions of people go away, but
Rosemary, so many kids are experiencing heightened anxiety now because of everything we've been through and going back to school. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, children and we all have big feelings, and children have a range of feelings. Like you could be nervous, you could be worried, but you could also be excited, and sometimes you get frustrated and disappointed. But with children, they have these feelings, but they don't have the words. They don't know how to describe what they're feeling. So the first part is to provide the word and say, are you feeling nervous? Give it a label, and then to validate how they're feeling. And don't say, oh, you're going to be fine. That doesn't help children.
Mm-hmm.
So once they have the label, once they feel that their emotion is validated, then they need these strategies, these tools. We all need these tools, and we need a whole toolbox of strategies.
I love
your voice is so soothing.
It's soothing.
It calms me down just listening to you.
That's good. That's one of the skills, right? To listen to
That's how I
a
felt,
soothing story. Right?
That's how I felt listening to Andy and Headspace and the collaboration, because I find his voice so soothing too. But you said that it's important for adults to help children identify what we all have big feelings, you said.
That's right. And big feelings are okay to have.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to suppress them. Right. You want children to understand that I'm having a big feeling and I'm going to call it frustration or disappointment or worry or nervousness, and then help them figure out, well, how can we make this big feeling feel better? Like it's not a light switch. It doesn't go off in a second. But what can I do to calm that big feeling down so that we can talk about what's going on? And then more importantly, how we're going to move on to the next activity.
Grover,
Can you record your voice so I can listen to it later?
Oh, Grover.
Okay, Grover, we could work something out.
Grover, you learned a breathing exercise, right, to help you fall asleep. Can you share it with us?
Well, sure. Well, they're the belly breaths, but I also, I like to wind down by imagining a cute little soap bubble. Yeah, that is what I do.
That works very well.
Yeah. Let's all watch a cute little soap bubble. Let's all imagine it floating up into the air.
That works.
Not very
Grover.
exciting television,
Surprisingly
but
effective.
hey, we're all calm now, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Grover, what about reading? A lot of kids like books. Some of them may even like the Monster Meditation book. Do you have a favorite book at bedtime?
Well, my mommy, I like for my mommy to read to me at night that bedtime story because her voice is also very soothing. It is very soothing, but nobody here knows the end of The Three Little Pigs, do you? Because I never can get to the end of that, and I always fall asleep before we get to the end.
Speaking of parents, Rosemary, how can parents help in this situation?
Well, first of all, children are watching us.
Yeah.
So it's
Always.
they're always watching.
They're watching even when you don't think they're watching.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's really important for all of us because these meditation skills are not just for children. They're for all of us to learn and to have in our toolbox because we're going to have reactions and we're going to have big feelings and emotions. So the whole idea is to know what these practices are: belly breathing, imagining, counting to 4, and to use them yourself, to practice these skills and to use them yourself,
Right.
so that when we have a big feeling, your child is seeing how we're handling it, managing it, and then to help them practice, right? Because there's no such thing as one tool is going to be the magic bullet.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
want them to have a range of
Need
skills.
a couple of
Yes,
tools.
that's
We used
great.
to have to count to 10. Now you're saying count to 4.
I like following the soap bubble. Grover, thank you for that tip. I feel much better.
Oh,
Good
you
to
are
see you,
welcome.
Grover.
And
Good to
thank you
see
for being here. Rosemary, thank
you.
you as
Thank
well.
you,
It's been a
Rosemary.
pleasure. Good Night World from Sesame Workshop and Headspace is available wherever you get your podcast.
Jeopardize.
So you can see, hold on one second. Just have to make sure I don't disconnect everybody in this process. Can you still hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Great. All right, so here's the stop share. Beautiful. So you can see that, coincidental, timing, our message has always been, the importance of breathing. Peggy comes to the table as a trained school psychologist and advocate and talks about the behavioral aspects of being able to, and recommendations about being able to stay in the present, calm down, stay in the moment, both as parent and also benefit for children. Lisa comes to the table from the lived experience of being a parent and also from the experience of being a meditator. And she'll talk about, historically, if you look at our videos, she'll talk on a number of occasions about the moment that she decided that she didn't want to live the exact way she was living and then decided to do something different. One of the things that we've said throughout all of this is when we're talking about meditation, we're not emphasizing that, behind me is a yoga mat and we're encouraging you to get into a lotus position for 45 minutes. If that happens, that's great. What we're really encouraging you to do is just stay in the moment. And the way you stay in the moment is by focusing on your breathing. I have said this on a number of occasions that I attended a training once, and it was a 5-day training by Ron Siegel. Ron and his brother Dan are, they're lead people in the area of mindfulness-based stress reduction. And the name of the training was the use of mindfulness as a therapeutic intervention. And Ron was very clear. You work with clients that only focus on the future, it's all about anxiety. You work with clients that only focus on the past, it's all about depression. And the idea is to try to help the person stay in the moment. So with that, the theme again is a return to school and learning in a stress-free way. And Lisa will be joining us in a moment, but Peg, could I ask you to start?
Yes. So Lisa and I thought that it would be a good thing to kind of review some of the things that we've previously discussed. And so going back to school this year, we've discussed in the past, but it's relevant again because of the way children are going back to school this year. So if you have children who are transitioning to college, who have already finished or graduated from high school, that's going to be challenging in a specific way. You have students that are transitioning into school for the very first time. They're kindergartners, they've never been to school at all. That's always a worrisome situation for a parent. And then you have students who have been in school, traditional schools, over the course of their lifetime, and they have now are going to re-enter because they've been out, they've been in, they've been all over the place. And so there are some strategies that we've talked about in the past that we thought we would review a little bit, but each of those kinds of transitions create levels of anxiety and stress and fear and all of those things that we're all experiencing. And I think that for children, it's particularly worrisome because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if their peers are going to be there. They don't know if their teachers are going to be there. They don't really know what to expect in this new normal. That's, I read something today that said that the way we are today is the way we are, and this is the new normal. So all of these transitions are challenging for parents, for students, for teachers, for whomever. So I thought we would go through just a few of the strategies that in the past we've discussed, and regardless of the age of the child, they might experience some of these difficulties in this reentry process. So firstly, I think it's important to prepare children physically for what's going to happen in school. And again, it depends on the age and the range and so on, what you're going to do. But if possible, get your children back to a school kind of routine. That might mean going to bed a little earlier, waking up a little earlier, a week or so before school starts, so that they're kind of acclimated to that schedule again. Because I think for all of us, we've been in our pajamas, in our sweatpants, Zooming from home, whatever. And so to get back into a regular routine is difficult. So, try to prepare children and parents as well, because now they're going to have to get up and get their kids ready for school. Prepare them for school a week or so early if you can. It's important, I think, to create some organizational structure for children so that maybe it's a calendar, maybe it's the school calendar, maybe it's a wall calendar of what happens in that particular family, but some kind of visual structure so that the child knows, what's coming, when we're going to school, when we're not going to school, so on and so forth, because things are unknown. And so those things that you can standardize will help children. And I think it helps parents as well. I think for little kids, it's good to review some of the safety precautions because, as they said in that clip, children are going to feel uncomfortable, unsure, perhaps unsafe. So, and you can encourage, but you can't completely reassure because there are risks, and there are risks that we take in our life all the time. So this is a risk, and we're never quite sure what's going to happen tomorrow in this new world. So I think for children, to reassure them that you're taking every precaution that's possible. You're going to wear a mask, you're not going to wear a mask, you're going to wash your hands, those kinds of things that are important for their physical safety. I think also important that you organize your child in their belongings and those kinds of things. Again, if you were working from home as a child and not going to school, maybe you had one place where everything was, but now things have to go back and forth, and they go from your kitchen table to the book bag and the book bag back to school. So there's lots of organizational strategies that need to happen. And depending on the age of the child and the strategies that the parents and the family develops, I think it's important to have those, whatever they might be. So assist your child in organizing his or her belongings, so that everything gets where it's supposed to be going. And then, give your child some time to kind of acclimate, and yourself too. It's difficult for parents as well. They've had children that have been home, and even if your children went to school, they're home for the summer. So it's a re-entry for a number of different reasons. And then, and parents need to evaluate their own expectations for what they think their child should be accomplishing. And so I think that that's an important thing, because sometimes our expectations are different than what the school's expectations or the child's expectations. So I think all of those things need to kind of be out on the table, so to speak. Also, I think that you have to prepare your child mentally or emotionally for, what's going to happen in that return to school. And I think they said it, pretty succinctly in that clip, which is that children have big feelings. They have big thoughts about what is and what isn't. And you have to review those things, especially, well, in all age ranges. I was going to say, especially for young children, but I think all age ranges. Review what they're thinking, what they're feeling, asking questions that just don't demand yes and no answers, but try to stimulate conversation about their emotions and how they feel about what's happening around them. And allow your child to share what's on their mind. I didn't like school today. I felt uncomfortable, whatever they encounter throughout the day, and kind of let them speak openly about all of those feelings without telling them, oh, don't worry about it, it'll be okay, because it may not be okay, may not feel okay. So allow them to have their worries and their anxieties and discuss those things with them. They do need to be reassured. One of the things, you can validate feelings, and reassure, but you can't promise that everything is always going to be okay, because we don't know. And that's true in all circumstances in life. We can't guarantee, because there really are no guarantees in life. Teach your children that they're going to have some discomfort, that they should anticipate that discomfort, and that, discuss what to do when they feel uncomfortable about certain situations. And then also look for signs within your family, within your child, to see, are they sleeping? Are they eating? Are they associating with their friends? What is it that looks different, if there is anything? And make sure you address those things. Also, as they said in the clip, that children get their feelings and their thoughts and perhaps some of their behaviors from their parents. So, if parents can be good role models and good models of behavior, I think that helps children as well. And that parents are also going to be likely anxious about their children going back to school, because there's an unknown too. But I think as much as possible, if you discuss those kinds of things, but say, we're going to move forward and we're going to do all of these strategies to keep things as healthy as possible. And so again, it's natural to feel uncomfortable, but there are some strategies. I don't know if Lisa joined us yet, but she's going to give us some strategies that she's talked about in the past that help kind of calm some of those anxieties.
So Lisa will be joining us.
Okay, Lisa's not there.
She's coming. She's in transit.
She's there. Okay. Well, one of the things that Grover did was that deep breathing. And Lisa always talks about that, just kind of centering yourself, knowing where your body is in space, so to speak, and, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And that kind of calms the whole system down. So when children and or adults are feeling anxious and uncomfortable, those deep breathing exercises really do help. It centers our body, it calms our body, it calms your mind as well. So I think those things and strategies are certainly important.
So from the perspective of Stacy and Lisa, I'd like you to respond to that one message that was delivered pretty strongly and direct with the clip from Sesame Street and Headspace about that kids are always looking. Kids are always looking. And one of the things we know from the field of psychology is there's different ways of learning. Intentional learning, where rote memory, and incidental learning, things you learn along the way. So when I would teach a course in the psychology of memory, the example I would use to my students is name everybody that was in your third grade class. How's that even possible? And then I said, if I gave you a box of pictures, would you be able to pick people out that were in your third grade class from pictures of third grade? And that increased it a little bit. But that was intentional stuff. But then the incidental stuff, let me meet you at the front of your house and show me how you traveled back and forth to school. That was easy. People weren't forgetting that. That was incidental learning. There's so many things that we learn within a family system that's not intentional. Growing up, I don't remember reading a book about how best to act at the dinner table. I don't remember reading a book about when you receive a birthday card, you don't automatically, as a kid, shake it out to see what the gift is. The fact is that there's certain things that you learn along the way incidentally. So this idea that kids are always watching. Stacy, you want to address that?
Sure. I think that it's really true. Well, I'll probably respond and hit upon that, but I'm having a thought, Dr. Force, around what you said, where if you are focusing more on the past, you're definitely feeling more depression. If you're focusing more on the future with worry, you're feeling more anxiety. And the idea behind our mindfulness-based training really reminds us, which Lisa Nathan has taught us for years, to just focus in the moment. And that was a gift she gave me in our meeting in February of 2019, before we broke off and had to quarantine and go home and live in our individual foxholes, was to be able to just, it's okay, clear your mind and just focus on the breathing. And that was really magnanimous for me to wrap my head around. I'm a multitasker. I do a lot of things. I think, in a moment, but in fact, science teaches us you can only focus on one thing at a time. And this I learned from my good friend Scarlett Lewis. I do a lot of work with the Choose Love movement and social and emotional learning. And as the New York ambassador, that's kind of a really important fact. And that ties into exactly what Grover and his message with Sesame Street was saying about finding a strategy that can help you cope, where they were juggling, holding a lot of things and trying to help him get through and manage, when they said, break it down into small parts, teach one thing at a time, 1, 2, and then do. And that was a great lesson, right? And that ties it into the child. So when they're watching us, to return to your question, can we really multitask at one time? Probably not. And isn't it better to teach one thing at a time than your next, right? In early intervention, we learn just teach one direction. I've been working with Lisa on strategies, how to help our Special Olympic athletes as we coach teams for the past 7, 8 years. And it's better for everyone when we offer one direction at a time. And over time, we maybe progress to 2 or 3. But isn't it frustrating for everyone if you say 3 directions and only one gets taken care of, and now you're repeating yourself, and maybe, 1 is the hopeful announcement, 2 is the reminder, and when you get to 3, now you sound like a nag. And so I think it's kind of, it's exactly right to just ask for one thing at a time, maybe 2 as a follow-up, but to all slow down is really the lesson, and be in that moment to accomplish that task, whatever it may be. So, that's my wholesome response. I think Lisa probably has a comment on that.
You mentioned Lisa Nathan's name, and magically the screen lit up, and here she is. Lisa, before I ask you to go through your presentation, you're part of the presentation, I just want to bring you up to date that, we started with an introduction, and then we focused on that video from Sesame Street and Headspace, which was great. And it was very timely. And then Peg presented from the behavioral perspective some strategies. And now the question is, one of the themes that came through in that little video is, kids are always watching. And I asked Stacy to talk about her perspective. Now I'm going to ask Lisa Carrero, this idea of kids are always watching from your perspective, because I know that both of you are not only involved in shepherding your children through traditional classrooms, but you're both involved in sports arenas too. So Lisa Carrero, could you address that?
Yeah, I think what I try to do is I find that, by modeling the behavior that I want to see, even not really intentional, that the students or my athletes or my children kind of like pick up on it and start doing it. Now, it doesn't happen right away, but over time, you'll be surprised at being like, like for example, like one of the things that I'm always saying at track and field is there's no walking in track and field, right? If I catch somebody walking, I'm like, there's no walking in track and field. And slowly it became like the thing. If somebody's walking, one of the other students is going up and going, there's no walking in track and field. So, just really trying to model behavior, however you might deal with a stressful situation. Just to give you an example, over the summer I was working in a program called Project Elevate, and we had my youngest son was volunteering in the program with me, and I had a student go down having a seizure, and he complimented me afterwards, and I didn't even realize he was watching. He was like, "Mom, you stayed so calm. You just stayed calm and dealt with it." And I was like, "Yeah." I said, I knew what to do, and I said I said to him, I got nervous. I said, but I knew that, okay, if I take a couple of deep breaths, I know what to do. I know how to handle the situation. And, we were able to escort the student after the seizure out and everything. But I think that example impressed upon him, like, okay, you can handle that. Like you could handle a situation like that. If I had acted totally the other way, where I was like running around the room screaming or yelling, that wouldn't have been the best behavior for him to witness. So I think showing him that in stressful situations, if you can, center yourself, take a few deep breaths, and be in control of the situation, that's a better way to handle it. So I think that was a really good example for him to see me do.
Sure. And that's that whole incidental learning. It wasn't intentional, it was incidental.
Yeah.
So Nathan, as I introduced us back for this next season, one of the things that I talked about is that you and Peggy have a collective voice, but from different perspectives, but it's unified. And, Peggy from the behavioral perspective, and you from the lived experience meditative perspective. And I know that you would sent me a PowerPoint, so I'm going to bring that up now if that works for you.
Yeah, and I just want to, thanks, Larry, and hi, everybody, and welcome back. I can't believe September is almost here. This is insane, but here we are. And it seems like we spun backwards because we're back again with school and the Delta and masks, and, so we're back in the pit of uncertainty and all that. But one thing that I'd like to kind of, before the presentation, with what Lisa had said, and I think this is a really important thing to learn, for us to know and for our children to know and to model. You are nice and calm during that. But what happens is when we get stressed out, highly stressed, and when our fight or flight response is triggered, we actually lose our connection to our higher thinking, to our prefrontal cortex, where we can think clearly. When all those, that cortisol from the stress is flowing through our body, we literally can't think straight. We literally can't think logically. So doing something like calming yourself and just kind of taking a breath can reconnect you. And that's like something really, really important to understand. So if somebody feels like really frazzled, it's like, yeah, because you literally can't think clearly.
I think, that it's well said. I mean, the fact is that, are there any benefits to what we've been through? There are benefits, especially in the field of aging, because one of the concerns about the impact of aging is social isolation. And this COVID quarantine has given us the opportunity to practice things in order to entertain ourselves, maintain ourselves during this time of isolation. And I really do believe that opportunity to practice it will have an impact as we all enter the latter half of life, because we know how to do things that typically we wouldn't have known how to do. Peggy and I had a conversation the other day. I mean, I like briefcases. So I have a lot of briefcases, except I haven't used them, okay? Because of the fact that I haven't been going any place that I would need a briefcase. And the fact is, then I'm thinking, do I really need all these briefcases? So, I mean, it's amazing how like this type of event has really had an impact. I am going to share the screen now and
Okay.
with you and bring up your part there. There it is. There it was. There it is. How's that?
All right, there we go.
And
Thank you, Larry.
You'll just tell me when you want me to move to the next screen.
Okay, absolutely. And I start with this with breathing. We take about 20,000 breaths per day. I start with this because breathing is a way we can hack into our nervous system. That fight or flight response that we get when our cortisol is pouring through our body, and we're stressed and our heart is beating fast, and our breaths become shallow. We learn how to moderate our breath and how to take longer exhales. We can actually link into our rest or digest mode of our nervous system. We can literally calm it down. It's a hack into our nervous system. So, and it starts with breathing. And we're beginning this new year, and I just want to make sure we understand or we know about abdominal or diaphragmatic breathing. So one of the hallmarks of breathing when you're very anxious is breathing from your chest, is breathing in a very shallow way. So when and as our little diagram over there, a little dummy man over there shows, when you're taking an inhale through your nose, your abdomen actually comes out because your diaphragm is actually making room for your lungs to expand. And when you exhale, your abdomen goes back towards your spine, and that's pushing your diaphragm up and creating like sending the air back out of your lungs. Lungs don't have their own muscle. The diaphragm is what does the work, plus some muscles around the ribs. Okay, you can send the next slide. So one thing you can look at is, how do you breathe when you're anxious, afraid, or angry? It's almost like a good marker to, like, the next time something happens, to pay attention. If you get very anxious, notice how you're breathing. So if you see it at another time, you'll say, oh, I'm breathing in a really anxious way. I can feel the difference in my breath. And also notice, how do you breathe when you're at peace? I know, like my dog, when she's lying down, she just takes this nice long exhale, it's really loud, and she's, or like when you're relaxing, you just take a nice long exhale. That's your body at rest. And that's what you can access if you take those long, slow, deep breaths from your diaphragm. You can access that part, right? You can do the next slide, Larry. So your breath is your emotional emergency button. Your emotions change their pattern of breathing, as we've said, like if you're angry or anxious, but the opposite is also true. Changing your pattern of breathing will also change your emotions. So if you're anxious, angry, you're upset, you're stressed, you're worried, whatever, if you take those nice, long, deep breaths, you can change your emotions and settle down. And this is actually a really good thing to do, and we're going to practice soon to do when you're not feeling, anxious or angry. So you know already how to do it, and you can see the response in your body. And you can even, and you'll see when we practice, you can even practice like online at the grocery store when you're pumping gas, or, whenever. It doesn't matter. You don't have to make a special time to practice this kind of breathing. You can do the next slide, Larry. And have you ever noticed that it's really difficult to talk your way out of stress? Like, because we can't, it's not a rational part of our brain. It's that, that amygdala part, that primitive reptilian part of our brain that's we're responding to under stress. So trying to link it to a rational part of our brain is just not going to work, or it's not going to work effectively, or it's not going to be easy to do. So, and this is what I said before, modulating your breath to slow, deep, even breaths will pacify your nervous system and calm down any strong emotion you may be experiencing. And this is why I'm doing this the first day, because our mental states are tightly connected to our breathing. And this is my cat wanting, banging on my door, wanting to come in. All right, Larry, you can send the next slide. Yeah, because I can't close doors here because an animal's going to either want to come in or go out. All right. All right, so I figured we could start with square or box breathing, they call it. But even before that, if we take a little, a picture of a little guy at the bottom, and this is something really effective for us to see visually or for your child. And that's to take a nice, like you can imagine you're holding a flower in one hand and a pinwheel or a candle in the other. And you breathe in, inhaling through your nose, taking a nice deep smell of the flower. And then the other hand that has the pinwheel or the candle, and you blow it out just like you were trying to blow out a candle, and blow out slowly through your mouth. And the key word is slowly, because we want our exhale to be longer than our inhale. And that's just a really nice visual to teach our kids. All right. So square or box breathing. This is a great technique to learn, can really help calm you down. You can use it anytime. If you start to get that feeling of anxiety, or let's say somebody cuts you off, on the highway, or, your kid just comes home and, there's a crisis, pending, whatever. You burn dinner and you don't know what you're going to do. It's late at night and you got to give the kids something to eat. All right. So square breathing, we're going to start. And we can see there's a little nose over there. And we're going to breathe, inhale for a count of 4 seconds. Then we're going to hold our breath for 4 seconds. We're going to exhale through our mouth, just like we're blowing out that candle, for 4 seconds. And then we're going to hold empty for 4 seconds. And that will be one cycle. And I know a lot of people have trouble, breathing through their nose. But do whatever you can. It's the best you can do, but you got to start from where you are. So start wherever you are. And if 4 seconds is too long, you could start at 3. And if it's too easy, you can go to 5, 6, or 7 seconds. All right. So let's just take a moment to connect. Let's take a nice long exhale. Inhale and exhale. And let's just we'll connect. Let's just check in. It's always good to check into our bodies, because our bodies can only ever be in the present moment. They can't be in the past, and they can't be in the future. Our bodies are always here. Now, just take a moment to let your eyes sink in to the sockets and relax. Feel your jaw relax. If your teeth are clenched, unclench them. Let the tongue just settle to the bottom of the palate, right behind your teeth. Your shoulders are tense. Let those just drop. You can rest your hands just gently in your lap. Feel your sit bones connected to the chair. And feel your feet connected to the floor. Just to take a moment just to be here and now. We're going to start. I'll hold the count for us. We're going to inhale through our nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Again. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. All right, excellent. It's great to use it anytime. It could be a mini meditation any moment of the day. Do it when you're washing the dishes, filling your dog's water bowl, pumping gas, whenever. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody this year. And just understanding meditation is no big deal, easy to do. Anybody can access it, and it's got incredible benefits. All right, thank you so much.
And thank you so much. I mean, you know, from the feedback that we've received, the practical exercise that you bring to the table, very powerful. You know, and you know, we have the Proactive Caring Digital Resource Center, but I've sent numerous people to that digital resource center that are not involved in any way in what we're talking about, but they're concerned about stress. And the fact is, there are so many resources up there, you know, from the videos to the discussions like tonight, you know, to you know, the manuals dealing with the exercises, you know, the video exercises. I mean, it's more and more I hear this whole idea about myself and Dr. Jerry Abatiello 18 years ago got trained in clinical hypnotherapy. What is really clinical hypnotherapy? Relaxation techniques and imagery. And the people that trained us were emphasizing breath work. And that to me was a new term, you know, breath work, you know, and it was like one that, you know, but you know what, 18 years plus, I get it. You know, I get it. You know, and the examples that you give about, you know, you could almost tell people, you know, what you were wearing and what time of the day it was when it hit you that, you know what, I don't want to live like this anymore. You know, I had a conversation with somebody over the weekend addressing something, as we all do. We all address something. And I said to them, you know, sometimes change doesn't require 14 years of psychotherapy. Sometimes change can be like that, you know, and this meditation and breathing is so very, very powerful. So thank you. And thank you to everyone that joined us tonight and everyone that will see this. And there's no way that I'm bringing this video cast to an end until I respond to Stacy Orzel's hand. Stacy.
Thanks. I want to compliment what Lisa said. I just want to circle back, which really ties into the beginning of what you were saying in the talk. Your body is always in the moment. Lisa, I love that. I never really thought about it that way. It's the mind that's always moving into the past and the present or the future. The body itself is always in the moment. And that's a great way to break it down, to circle back to what Grover was saying and the message from Sesame Street. So if we break down our systems into body and mind, and we talk a lot, you know, in mindfulness about body, mind, and soul, but wow, that was poignant. And thank you. You're always giving us gifts. I appreciate you.
And I'll give you another quote that I wrote down that I really liked that you said, Lisa, about the pit of uncertainty. That's really where we are. We don't know. I mean, we get mixed messages depending upon what state we live in. We get mixed messages depending upon what district we live in. We get mixed messages, you know, nationally. So, I mean, I think this is a pit of uncertainty, but the idea of staying in the moment. So again, thank you for everyone for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. And our colleagues and friends in Buffalo and the parent network of Western New York are just incredible, you know, partners and friends now. And we look forward to you interfacing with their work as well. So again, thank you so much. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And now I just have to stop this recording. Let's see if I can do that. Hold on a second. Boom. Did it. Thank you. All right. Maybe I didn't do it. Maybe I didn't do it. Hold on.